Hello everyone, welcome to 2D Board Gamers. My name is Dave, and today we're going to go over my general aggression deck. This is kind of the deck I think of when I'm going to play aggression. Obviously we'll make changes based on specific needs of a hero, but this is like the blueprint of what I would do for an aggression deck for a game of Marvel Champions, normally multiplayer. If Dirk and we don't usually like to know who the villain is, so I would use this deck if we're blind against against a blind villain that we are blind to us who the villain is. But some of the tweaks that would be made to this deck would be based on the hero, and I'll go over that at the end. But this would be if you have the full collection or a good chunk of the collection and you want to have a deck ready to insert to any hero. This will work for any hero. All right, so let's take a look at the deck. So the 25 cards, obviously not counting the 15 that would come with whatever hero. So first, we got our allies. We got Bug. He's cost 2, 1/1, 2 hit points. After you make a basic attack, heal 1 damage from Bug. So Bug is really good for heroes that are going to be using their basic attack. If you're playing a hero who does not use his basic attack, then you might want to swap Bug out with a different ally. And also there's another card that will go to make Bug more powerful, which we'll get to. The next ally is Hulk. Now Hulk is it costs 2. He cannot thwart at all. Attack of 3, 5 hit points. After Hulk attacks this card, discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a printed resource, has strength, deal 2 damage. Energy, deal 1 damage to each character. Mental, discard Hulk. Wild, all the above. So Hulk normally he is here to defend for most heroes, but if you ever get a chance to know what the top card of your deck is, you've got like perfect knowledge, like Magic, for example. Hulk is great with her because you always know what the top card of your deck is, or Spider-Woman when you've gone down to Jessica Drew, or if you have like Atlas Bear or some other characters that can put a card on top of the deck. So you can control Hulk's attack. Some allies get a little mad if you keep throwing energy and keep damaging their allies. So Hulk normally is for defending, but he can attack and he can hit pretty hard. So Hulk is a great addition. Plus he's cheap. You'll notice that most of these villains, these allies are all cheap. Marble Boy, 0 thwart, 2 attack, 2 hit points. But when Marble Boy attacks, you can spend a strength resource. This attack gains piercing and range. So being able to do piercing and range when you need it is great for him. Spider-Girl, it costs 2, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 2 hit points. After you play Spider-Girl from your hand, stun and confuse a minion, which can be very useful. And then our last ally is Sunfire. He costs 2, 1, 2, 2 hit points. After you play Sunfire from your hand, spend an energy resource, choose an attachment with the text hero action or hero response, and discard it. So it's great to get rid of those annoying attachments. Then we got 3 copies of Melee, which you can deal 3 damage to an enemy, deal 3 damage to another enemy. We got 2 copies of Relentless Assault. Deal 5 damage to a minion, and if you paid for this card using a strength resource, the attack gains overkill, so the excess of damage would go to the villain. And we got 2 copies of Uppercut. Cost 3, deals 5 damage to an enemy. Alright, so this deck assumes there's going to be a lot of minions. If there are very few minions, then that would be like one of the tweaks you might want to do. Hall of Heroes, 2 cost support. After you defeat a minion, place 1 glory counter here, and then as an alter ego, exhaust Hall of Heroes and remove 3 glory counters and draw 3 cards. Combat training, so you can bump up your basic attack by +1. Energy Spear. So this is attached to a Guardian ally, which Bug is. So this card is designed to go on Bug. And Bug will now attack for 3 instead of 1. And he gains Piercing. But so that's a great card. But again, if you're not going to use Bug because you don't do your basic attack, then you can see there's cards already to remove and replace, like Combat Training, Energy Spear, and Bug. The whole bit of this deck is Hone Technique, which costs 2 mental. You have to spend 2 mental and 1 other card, or another resource to pay for it. But when you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using at least 1 mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event dealt by the printed cost. So Uppercut now does 8 damage, say, instead of 5. Martial Prowess costs 2. Exhaust Martial Prowess to generate a strength resource for an attack event. Now that doesn't help with Hone Technique, but it does help with Relentless Assault. Then we've got the double resources. Crew Quarters. You can exhaust Crew Quarters, heal 1 damage from an alter ego. Helicarrier gives you a discount. So you can reduce the cost of the card by 1. Downtime, you get +2 to your recovery. Endurance, you get +3 hit points. And then I threw in an Enhanced Awareness here to gain, so you have a mental resource for when you want to use Hone Technique. Now, for some tweaks to the deck. If you are playing an Avenger, I would swap that card out with a Quinn Carrier. Costs 1 more, but then you have a wild resource for whenever you need it, which could be a mental when you're ready to play things with Hone Technique, or like you already have Strength for Relentless Assault, but with the Quinn Carrier and the Martial Prowess, you've got 2 of the resources that you need to pay for cards right there. If you're playing an X-Men, it's the same thing, except for you would throw the X-Jet in instead of the Quinn Carrier. Okay, so some other cards you might want to tweak with. If you are using your basic attack, then I probably might swap some cards out for Skilled Strike. And if you're using a weapon, like say Thor, for example, that's where Mean Swing can come into play as well. If you're playing a Mystic, Magic Attack is pretty nice. If you are playing a character that comes with a weapon, like Venom or Thor, you got Fusillade that you could swap some events out for. Full body charge, if you've got a great way to, if you can generate enough resources, this will do 12 with Hone Technique. If you have aerial, however, like say Captain Marvel, for example, or Thor, or anybody like that, then I would at least have 1 copy of Dive Bomb, if not multiples, because Dive Bomb with Hone Technique will do 11 damage to an enemy, and then it'll do 5 damage to each other enemy. So that's really good. Bombs Away is another great one for aerial characters, because you can exhaust an aerial character you control, and then you deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. And with Hone Technique, that would be 5 to the villain and 5 to each. So, bye-bye Ultron drones. Big time. But yeah, so that is my generic aggression deck that I use. I kind of use this as a basis when I'm thinking of building an aggression deck. And I do definitely make changes if there are for different flavors. Like if I want to, and I might even add some more events. So I might bloat a little bigger than 40 cards. But this is the 40 card version of my generic aggression deck. You could plug it into any character and any scenario, and you should do fine. If, of course, more knowledge that you have ahead of time, then some more changes that you can make before you start. You're an Avenger. Like I said, you could put in the Quinn Carrier. There's a couple events that are just for Avengers, Guardians. There's ones that are just for Guardians. You know, you've got some playing around that you can do to the deck. But if you just want to experiment beyond pre-constructed decks and you want to try an aggression deck, this would be my suggestion of the aggression deck to try. All right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.